Can I start now, ma'am?
Yes. Now we are live.
Ma'am, can I start?
Yes, we are live now. You can start.
Good evening to our participants and the viewers who are watching through Facebook Live. I am Jia Bharadwaj, your host for today's webinar. I hope everyone is having a healthy and a peaceful evening. Tonight we are here with another session of webinar with another speaker of honor. Before that, I would like to say who we are and what are our goals as a team Enajori. Enajori means bond of love. It signifies unconditional love. It is this bond of unconditional love for his native land that brought back Milind Datta, the founder of Enajori, from the USA to start a non-profit organization in 2018, which engages and promotes various initiatives that are striving for social change, leadership skills, and building entrepreneurship capabilities in the Northeast, including Assam. For the last 1 year, we have been engaging with speakers from various fields via virtual media to create a network among the people working in the region. Today, we are extremely happy to welcome Dr. Nizara Hazarika. She is an associate professor at the postgraduate department of English in Sonapur College, Assam. She has been teaching for the past 28 years. She has acted as a resource person for various workshops for college and university level teachers. She has a PhD in Colonial, Assam and women's writing from English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. She has been awarded UGC Associateship by IIAS Shimla. So far, she has authored a book entitled Colonial Assam and Women's Writing and edited 6 books, namely Interpreting Heritage, A Discourse on Heritage at Risk, Contemporary India, Indian Women Novelists Writing in English, Critical Perspectives, Social Equity and Sustainable Development, English Language Teaching in India, Problems and Prospects, Identity, Critical Perspectives and Blurring Boundaries, Carving and Identity, Women Writing in Colonial India. She has presented her research paper both in India and abroad. At present, she has been working on 2 of her books on women writing. Today, she is going to speak about Contemporary Queer Narratives from Assam, Some Exploration. We welcome you, ma'am, for today's webinar, and I request our audience to feel free to ask questions by posting their questions in a chat box and by unmuting them. So, ma'am, I hand over you to the webinar and to proceed the webinar and make the evening an informative one. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dia. A very good evening to all of you. It is a great privilege for me to speak on a subject so sensitive yet so pertinent for all of us. At the outset, I would like to offer my thanks to Team Enajori for giving me this platform to speak on gender and sexuality. And I chose to speak on the queer narratives from Assam. For this talk, I have chosen randomly very few narratives from a large body of narratives. For 2 reasons. One is the time constraint, and then it is a huge area where and it's ever evolving, ever emerging, where one can go on and on. So I'll be basically talking on a few fictional narratives, a few poetic narratives, and then some of the personal narratives of people from the queer community who have come out. Now coming back to my topic, queer, I have used it as an umbrella term. It is an umbrella term that includes people who are non-binary, non-heterosexual, and whom we call LGBTQIA+, and it goes on, all the alternative sexualities. So all these sexualities have been, have come under this queer term queer. So I'll be using this term queer in my talk. And I'm not going to talk about, deliberately at this point, I won't be talking about the queers, about their activism and other dimensions, as I'm going to mainly focus on the queer narratives. But when we talk about the queer or the non-binary, we need to begin a little bit about the binary. So, the institutionalized patriarchal hierarchy has produced a kind of gendered identity within the binary structure. However, with the proliferation of the discourses on gender, sexuality, and identity, there has emerged new ways of looking at gender beyond these heteronormative binaries. So here I would like to bring in Judith Butler, who is an American philosopher and gender theorist. Butler's notion of gender as performative, the stylized repetition of acts that must be performed to achieve the gendered identity, is crucial in this discourse on the queer people whose identity does not conform to the heterosexual norms. Through her notion of gender performativity, Butler dismantles the ontological status of the heteronormative gendered regime. Butler posits that the hegemonic heterosexual structure of disciplinary power produces queerness as abnormal, and she strongly upholds the possibility of queer subversion. So when we talk about this abnormality or normal, for that matter, so, when we talk about normal or natural, that is very often, people very often in all kinds of discourses, they say that this is abnormal, or it is unnatural. But then what is normal or what is natural, and who decides what is normal or natural? So these kinds of ideas need to be addressed when we talk of the queer people. And here comes the importance of queer narratives, where issues on identity, spaces, lived experiences, they are addressed. And therefore, an exploration of the spaces that the non-heteronormative people occupy is pertinent to understand the lived realities of these people. The naturalness of the dominant heteronormative discourses could be challenged by queer narratives by making spaces for the newer understanding of gender and sexuality. Queer discourses try to question the dominant narrative codes by disrupting the societal status quo and thereby foreground our phenomenological agenda to project the political dimensions of liminality. The notion of liminal as a place of transition, liminal is the in-between space. The notion of liminality as a place of transition and located outside the binary structure has provided the queers a space to redefine their identity. The liminal space allows them to deconstruct the unwavering notion of the society by creating a new consciousness that is not bound by the dominant power structure. It can be a locus of power and freedom. This liminal space and other alternative spaces that the queers inhabit are intense and disruptive and have the ability to deconstruct the accepted heteronormative structure and helps the queers create their own identity that is free and is an instant of pure potentiality. They are also sites of resistance and frustration. Coming back to this Assamese literature, the heterosexual ideology dominates the hegemonic knowledge production space. The non-heteronormative people occupy the spaces in periphery, in the margin, in crevices, and cannot claim a distinct positionality. Queer people have been denied representation and kept out of all kinds of documented space in history and in literature as well, till the other day. In most of the mainstream literature and other spaces like films or theaters or other creative spaces, the queers are deliberately made the butt of joke. They are made fun of, ridiculed, and so on. And thus, these images of the queer dominate the mindset of the people of this heterosexual society. However, literature is nuanced and confronts the complex intangibilities of queerness as dynamic and something that is aesthetic and beautiful. Thus, queer narratives can bring these intangibilities into the social fabric and spread awareness for a positive change. So queer narratives from Assam are a timely intervention in this regard. They portray the lived realities of the queer people. These narratives reflect a new direction in the process of an all-inclusive society. Thus, a proper study of these narratives is highly warranted. The queer narratives and prevalent dominant social cultural practices of a society. The queer space is any space. When we talk about the space, the queer, and I, just a little while ago I said about the spaces. So what is that space? Alternative spaces can be any space that enables its occupants to perform queerness instead of inverting hierarchies and enacting reversal of the normative order. These spaces attempt to negotiate and perform alternatives. These narratives present how some kind of queer space and identity emerge as a site of contestation and resistance with an underlying consciousness of conflicts. The texts under study today are the fictional narratives by Moshumi Kondo, they have taken Meghna Chaudhary and Aruni Kashyap and Panchanan Hazarika, and poetic narrative by Moyuri Deka, Bornalina Dwara and Ritu Porno. and a few personal narratives by members of the queer community who have come out. And I would like to begin this study by talking about the lived experiences of the people from the queer community by referring to some of their personal narratives. I will begin by reading the foreword of Mayuri Deka, who has published this book called Queerscape. This book is called Queerscape in association with Anything Guwahati. Actually, this book, Mayuri, she had organized a 2-day workshop for the people of LGBTQ community, where people from different states of Northeast India participated and narrated their lived experiences. And this book is the outcome of that workshop. So here she mentions the very base, foundation of this workshop and why they had to go for this kind of a workshop. It is a fact that people from, I'll just read from here a little bit. It is a fact that people from the LGBTQIA+ community are there in our lives every day, everywhere. But still, where we live in the northeastern part of India, the visibility of queer people is very less. Every day we come across people from the queer community through messages, social media calls, and get to deal with them, talk to them, know their lived experiences, struggles, and stories. The most common thing from all these stories about different people from different places is the pain of invisibility, non-acceptance, loneliness, depression. We have often seen people from the community suffer since their childhood and teenage. This is the hardest part for most of us, as in that period we grow and try to become the person we want to be. Hence, we have to carry the baggage of non-acceptance and social taboos. It becomes really hard. So I'll just, because of that, we see people suffering from community in different versions, in different ways. And LGBTQIA+ people are dealing with all kinds of transphobia, avoidance, ignorance, and suffer from their traumas. So this is the forward, and this is the reason why this kind of workshop was so helpful for the people to come out, for the for the queer people to come out and share their experiences. And they got a platform, they got a space where they could be themselves. Otherwise, they have to always hide themselves. So the narrators in this book present their lived experiences where they had to face discrimination, rejection, isolation, loneliness, and how their experiences forced them to live in the closeted space. Their awareness that they are different and they are not accepted by the society as they do not conform to societal norms is reflected in most of these narratives. And here now I would like to read a few lines from one of such write-ups, write-ups called The Words of Concealment. It is written by one dark horse, and the narrator writes, what is invisibility? If we ask, being invisible doesn't always mean that we are not visible to others. Sometimes we isolate ourselves from others. Isolation, it is a very strange word, especially when it is self-imposed. From my childhood, I always knew that I was different. I knew that there was something unique in me, but I never thought that my uniqueness would turn out to be a flaw for others and a dreadful nightmare for me. So as he grew, as he started going to his school and all, his friends started avoiding him, ignoring him and all. And then he writes, my friends and other fellow mates started to exclude me from every possible activity. And even on several occasions, they would directly neglect my presence. Further, they made me feel more alienated when they started to discover about my sexuality. And when this process goes on, there is a point when he felt that he doesn't belong to that society, that his friends, and so he started alienating himself. He made a barrier, and he wrote, day by day, I created an invisible barrier between me and others. The barrier always kept me away from others. When people reached out to me, I would deny them because of the deeply rooted fear of being unexpected. I was isolated and closeted until it grew to be toxic. So this kind of experiences they share. When we stand on the other part of the society, we can empathize with them. But how similar are the feelings from for us who belong to this part of the society and towards the queer experiences, their feelings. So this kind of narratives throw light on the stark realities of life, where they go through different kinds of pain and suffering. The constricted space that they are forced to live in becomes suffocating for them, and yet they have got no way out to resist the societal pressure. Again, Alice Kongshe, she has in her narrative, she talks about her experiences, hiding in plain sight. That is what I felt my invisibility as a lesbian felt like. Being feminine in appearance, people always felt like they had right to tease me with men, imagine and pass judgment on what my sex life was like. And when she used to go to her, to her school, and she used to wear different to her institution, and she used to wear different clothes, and people had problem. They are so judgmental. Even her teacher asked her not to wear such kind of dresses, and the teacher said that I'm just protecting you from boys who would not be able to control themselves. And she is shocked, and she says, I wanted to tell her that I can handle the boys. It is your judgment that I cannot handle. But I just kept quiet because she was my teacher. So the societal pressure and the judgment that is passed on the people, assuming when sexual is always wrong, and when you are clear, there is an unending closet that people will push you into. I have come out to people so many times, yet this invisibility makes me do the most unspeakable things to me. Society assumes that I'm here to steal somebody's boyfriend or husband. And she says, she goes on to say, I do not know why gender and sexual identity gives people a right to judge and take pleasure in the sex lives of others. So, this kind of experiences, traumatize them. These people are psychologically, they're traumatized, and they're forced to live in a highly constricted space. They strive for an emancipated space, but then where they can can be free from this kind of hierarchical patriarchal structure where they are dominated and all. And in this book, we have got some poetic narratives, and I would like to read a few poetic narratives here. I'll start with Ritu Porna's poem, Letar Dore, like a cocoon. And this is a very poignant poem where he tries to debunk the gendered notion, the patriarchal gendered notion of being a woman. So I'll just read it in Assamese, and then I'll just tell you the gist in English. Kune kole tumak tumar naritto kebol eta junir usorat abodho. Kune kole tumak tumar naritto tumar stonor akaror mapot abodho. Kune kole tumak tumar naritto tumar mahekia roktor mazot abodho. Kune kole tumak tumar naritto tumar santan dibo pora nuarar khemotar mapkathit abodho. Kune kole tumak tumar naritto তুমি অন্যৰ দৃষ্টিত নাৰী হোৱা নোহোৱাৰ প্ৰশ্নৰ মাজত আবদ্ধ। তুমি এবাৰ সুধি চাইছিলা নেকি নাৰীত্ব মানেই বা কি? এবাৰ ভাবি চাব পাৰি নেকি তোমাৰ নাৰীত্ব যে এই সকলোবোৰৰ উদ্ধত? কোনে ক'ব তোমাৰ নাৰীত্ব এই সকলোবোৰৰ যে উদ্ধত? কোনে ক'ব? So it is like it is kind of a questioning, it is questioning the very notion of a gendered identity, of being a woman. And there are lots of these are the societal parameters that make one a woman, that gives her gives up the identity. Here the poet questions the very notion of being a woman, being a about the femininity. So the poet asks, who told you that your womanhood, your femininity is is limited to your vagina, confined to your vagina, or to the size of your breast, or to your menstrual blood, or to your capacity to give birth to children or not? Who told you all this? Who told you that your womanhood, your femininity is confined to being a woman in others' perspective? If somebody in others' judgment, your woman is confined between the questions whether you are a woman or not. Who said that your womanhood is confined to that? Have you ever asked what is being feminine? Can we just think for once? Can we think for once that your womanhood is above all these parameters? Who will say that your femininity is above all these parameters? Who will say? So this is kind of, here he presents the body as a site of social, domination. Narratives like this actually, they can challenge the societal dictum, subvert the social norms. What is what it is to be a woman, and how we can subvert that very notions, all the notions of being a woman. So this is a very poignant way of questioning the gendered identity. Then I will go through another poem by Moyuri Deka. This is related to the activism, like their way of finding a space in the outside world, in the public domain. The poem is Rajbatot Prem Aru Biplab, love on the street and revolution. যেতিয়া আমি লগ হৈছিলো বুজিছিলো বিপ্লৱ হ'বই ইতিমধ্যে আমাৰ প্ৰেম কণিকুঠাৰ পৰা ৰাজবাটলৈ লৈ আনিছিলো সেই প্ৰেম যেতিয়া ৰাজবাটৰ পৰা গৈ ন্যায়ালয় পাইছিল জানিছিলো বিপ্লৱ হ'বই এতিয়া সেই প্ৰেম ন্যায়ালয়ৰ পৰা গৈ যেতিয়া মানুহৰ ঘৰে ঘৰে সোমাই পৰিব বিপ্লৱ হ'বই তেতিয়া আমি আকৌ লগ হ'ম ৰাজবাটত so like when we met we knew that there would be revolution so that was the love the same sex desire so when we met we knew that there would be revolution and already our love has has been transported from our bedroom to the street and from street it has gone to the court and from court now it has gone to every house and now we know that there will be definitely some revolution and then again we will meet there on the street so it is this kind of poem it draws the trajectory of the same-sex love from the closeted space of bedroom to the public space of the street spaces of the street and the court and we know about the repeal of the article 377 so all these things had gone to the court and when finally it was repealed it reached to the houses of all the people and then she says there would definitely be revolution because people still need time to accept this and thus this kind of narratives they spread a positive message to the society where the queer identity queer spaces queer people are accepted by the mainstream society and yet at every step there would definitely be some kind of conflict some kind of revolution then I'll, because I've got a time constraint, so I'll just read a little bit about another poem where we talk about, the two states, two states where this poem is called Queer, written by Indrani Kolita, and she says about the pain and suffering that the queer people, they go through. We are queer, we are non-conforming and fluid. And she goes on to say, don't consider us different. We are among you. Our struggles don't let us follow our dreams. There is an endless void when we think about our acceptance from depression and we are suicidal. And so she goes on to say, and then she says, we have been through violence of all kinds, physical, emotional, mental, and financial. We are in fear of fights and rejection. So this is kind of the realities that they face. And then they have got an emancipatory space. Then they come close, to our community. So but we have found families outside our families where we feel complete. In these newfound families, we find love, independence, and freedom. The warmth of this love makes our hearts feel joy. In this family, we are free to be fair and infinite. So a bonding among the queer people, a space for emancipation is what she talks about. So in all these narratives, the narrators they project a queer dimension to one's identity and the space that they occupy in the society. Strive for visibility and societal acceptance, which is a perennial issue for these people living in the interstices of the social structure. Recognizing one's sexuality, making that sexual identity publicly known, creating relational bonds, becoming a member of minor communities in the lives of the people, in the lives of the people living in the periphery, including the non-heteronormative persons. So these personal narratives, in a way, expose the politics behind the marginalization and in a subtle way register their protest. Through their this kind of write-ups, these members, they talk about different ways in which they were subjected to lots of trouble. They are subjected to lots of suppression and oppression, and then they thereby, through these narratives, they reclaim a queer space and thereby interrogate the heteronormative configuration of space. They interrogate it, they challenge that. And then we have got Moiri Deka's recently published poetic collection, Andar Sadan. This is the book. By breaking the doors of the dark rooms, this book presents in a poignant way many sensitive issues related to the queer people. The poems present the nuances of alternative sexualities, love, and also resistance and critique of the heterosexual norms. I'll just read one poem from here. This is not the end, but the beginning. মই কিবা নকৰিবলগীয়া কৰিছিলো নেকি তই যেতিয়া পেটত আছিলি my mother asked me is it because of my fault that you became a homosexual did I do something untoward for which it turned out to be a homosexual নাই আইতো একো কৰা নাই ইয়া কাৰো হাতত নাথাকে মই কৈছিলো and I said no mother you didn't do anything wrong as it is not in the hand of anybody I হিনা আকো সুধিছিল my mother again asked me এনেকৈ কিদৰে সুখী হবি যত গোটেই সমাজখনে হাঁহে how will you be happy when the whole society would be laughing at you মই কৈছিলো গোটেই সমাজখনৰ কথা নালাগে মোকাই তই সুখী হলি so I said that I don't want the whole society if will be that is enough for me I আৰু সুধা নহল তেওঁ কিমান সুখী but I never got the chance to ask her how happy she was এনেকৈ পাৰ হৈ যায় দিনৰ পিছত ৰাতি like this days and nights pass by and I have been chased হাজাৰটা প্ৰশ্নই খেদি ফুৰে হাজাৰটা কাৰণ হতাশাৰ হাজাৰ ধৰণৰ ঠাট্টা আৰু ইটিকিং I have been chased by thousands of questions thousands of ridicule thousand types of ridicule and insult তেতিয়া তেওঁ এয়া শেষ নহয় আৰম্ভণিতে আৰু তেতিয়া মই তেওঁৰ হাতত ধৰি ওলাই আহো আইৰ মুখামুখি হ'বলৈ and then she says this is not the end just a beginning and holding her hand I just come out to face my mother so by crossing that threshold by crossing that space of that state where she feels guilty she is in a closet that closeted space she comes out holding on the hand of her partner so this particular all this but then we have got of course Bornali Nath Dora her collection her poetry collection called Ramdhenu Micro Tales of Diversity it also addresses issues related to queer life as she says in her blurb she says they you and I are determinants of humanity who are we to discriminate let the variation be accepted let the plurality unravel its hues we know as yet how the I in us is itself not one, but fragmented into several cells. Let Ramdhenu is the Vijayar, reflect the spectrum just as I have felt. So in these poems also, she has talked about the different nuances, I will not go into the poetry part. Here, she talks about in various ways how she narrates she talks, of course, about the all-inclusivity, about the diversity of life, so some of the poems are very poignant here. Then these are the poetry narratives, and of course we've got many such other narratives which are there, but for this presentation I have just chosen very few, as I told you. And now coming back to the fictional narratives, I'll start with Moshumi Kondoli's story Trityotar Golpo, A Tale of Thirdness, which was published in 2004 and which is one of the finest narratives written with a queer theme. The story has a queer professor as its protagonist, and it narrates the trauma, the societal non-acceptance, the suffering, the loneliness that a protagonist goes through, and the struggle he makes to challenge the societal norms. And also he's embarking on a journey to break the gender stereotype. So all these are portrayed in a very poignant tale where the professor is always attracted to the thirdness. And this narrative, of course, she presents how his very personal private space of home was also invaded. And I'm not going to go in a very detail to the story because it is such a lovely story, but then there's this constraint of time. So professing gender fluidity, the professor critiques the very notion of motherhood when he says that motherhood is not simply a bodily experience. Why do we attach the stereotypical notion that motherhood to the body of a woman? Motherhood is a concept. Who says it is related to one's body and gender? To be a mother, one needs to have a uterus, a metaphorical uterus of consciousness, and is enough to have a baby. And he envisages to have Akka Mahadevi as his child. And here the last lines, the last lines of the story gives an open story where the narrator speaks about the story. It is again a beautiful story for her about the professor. And I'll just read this part and then I'll tell you. Hey, মোৰ এই প্ৰিয় গল্পটিৰ সমাপ্তিৰ বাবে মই পুৰণি গল্প শৈলীৰ হেপী এণ্ডিঙৰ ধ্ৰুপদী নিশ্চয়তাকে গ্ৰহণ কৰিম. And therefore, I would like to conclude this beautiful story with the happy ending certainty of our traditional short stories. আৰু আনন্দেৰে কল্পনা কৰিম, I will very happily, I will imagine. এদিন মহাদেৱী তাইৰ চৌপাশৰ মানুহবোৰ গছ শিল আৰু বতাহবোৰক সেয়াও জাৰি কব, সেই যে মানুহজন অকলে অকলে নাও বাই বাই সেই গভীৰ জলধিৰে গৈ আছে, তেওঁৱেই মোৰ মা. And then she will say one day the Mahadevi, because she, it's already believed that Mahadevi is he is delivered Mahadevi, and she will tell everybody around, all the people, trees and stones and wind and everyone, and she will say that man who is sailing on that river, who is sailing on that river, he is my mother. So the story tries to bring forth the very notion of gender fluidity, and that through their performativity they can claim their own identity. And this identity, I'd just like to quote 2 lines by Angela Okawa. She says, in a world that prefers binary identity, those whose identity lives in between spaces feel pressure to claim in one end of the polarity and reject the other. Rather than being a transitional space, the liminal is for these individuals a permanent home. Thus, the metaphor of sailing through the river towards the third bank is the protagonist's journey to the queer space. And that queer space, which is an emancipated space, an alternative space where the hegemonic heterosexist discourses cease to regulate bodies and identities. And, so this fluid identity has been taken up by Meghna Chaudhary in her story called Sneha Gotchito, where, we have got this gay persona called Sikun, with a feminine self. And the story begins with the death of Debu, who happens to be the one whom he loved, and of course Pakhi, Debu's wife. And it is it is in the hospital. Debu has met with an accident, he passed away, and they're waiting to reclaim the body of Debu. And so both of them, they are together now. And there is a, initially Pakhi had got all bad feelings for Sikun, because she thought that he has taken away the love of her husband. But when they started talking, there is a gradual revelation when she realizes that the selfless love that Sikun had towards Debu and also towards her, and why Debu used to be so much comfortable with Sikun. She feels sad that Sikun, having a woman inside, was always bereft of any love of a lover, and ask him if he nurtures a dream. I'll just read a little bit of this, she এজনী সৰু ছোৱালী লাহে লাহে কিশোৰী হ'ল, যুৱতী হ'ল, অথচ কোনেও তাইক দেখা নাপালে. So he talks about the woman inside Sikun's body, So this girl, she grew up and inside, but nobody could see her. তাই শৃংগাৰ কৰা নহ'ল, প্ৰেম কৰা নহ'ল. She never loved anybody, she never did any makeup and all. বিৰহিনী আৰু অভিহাৰিকা হোৱাৰ হেঁপাহ এদিন মৰহি গ'ল. ইমানৰ পিছতো তাইৰ বাৰু এটা সপোন দেখিবলৈ মন যায়নে? So even after all this, does she have a dream? And she asked, do you have a সপোন আছে নে Sikun? আকুলতাৰে মই তাক সুধিলো. সি মোলৈ কিছু পৰ এনেই চাই থাকিল. আছেতো, সপোন নাথাকিলে জীয়াই কেনেকৈ থাকিম? মোক কবানে, তোমাৰ অবিহনে আৰু কমেই বা কাক পাখি, এতিয়া মাথো মোৰ এটাই সপোন, কাৰোবাক ধাৰণ কৰিব নোৱাৰিলেও পালন কৰাৰ সপোন, পৃথিৱীৰ বুকুত এজনী মাকক জীয়াই তোলাৰ সপোন, মোৰ সন্মুখত বহি থকা পৰম মমতাময়ী মানুহগৰাকীৰ বুকুত সোমাই মোৰো মন গ'ল একোটা কান্দিবলৈ. So he, when she asked Sikun that does he have a dream, he said that he definitely have one. He wants to give. He said that even though he cannot bear a child, now he can of course nurture or rear a child as a mother. He wants to give this world a mother. And Pakhi, she's so overwhelmed, and she felt like crying and holding on to that mother. Does this narrative like this speak volume about the lived realities of the queer people, the socially unaccepted space that they inhabit, and the fluid identity that they possess? Then I'll take up Anil Kasap's His Father's Disease. I'm not going to go in a very detailed way. It narrates the tale of Anil, a gay persona, who lives with his mother when the insurgency problems were at its height in Assam. At the beginning of the story, Anil is shown as indulging in a sexual union with his partner. And when his mother comes to know about his gay identity, she couldn't accept it. And she wept and thought that Anil has acquired his father's disease. She was a witness of this kind of gay sexual encounter of her husband with her own brother. Thus, she presents Anil's gay sexual orientation as a disease. This is a common negative belief. This is a taboo that is always, bestowed on these people from the queer community. Negative belief that against people of the queer community that affect, and then this kind of, stuff. What happens? It affects the mental health of the people to the extent that they isolate themselves and live within the closeted space. So Anil, then we have got Anil. We find that Anil, he does not want to stay in the main home, and he constructs an outhouse, for himself in some kind of, so when he constructs that house, his mother did not like it, but such kind of a space, architectural space, is really for the queer people, it is very, very important to inhabit, which is an intimate, comfortable space. Any kind of discrimination like homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, etc. are prohibited there. Home could be, where we say that, okay, it is their home. So, but then home could be a place where they experience homophobia because people do not accept them, their homosexuality, people do not accept them. And this is evident when his mother does not accept his gay identity. Does this kind of narrative exposes the myth of a safe home? Though Anil never said about his physical needs, towards the end, he told his mother about it, and the narrative goes like this: he had built that house to carve a space of his own. It had implicitly told his mother what his male needs were. And now, in front of the burning house, he was telling her that he loved Gurmail, the Sikh army officer. So, when he was with that army officer in that house, what happened is that, there was this political issues are there, and that house was, burnt. And finally, Anil came out, and Gurmail was there. So he ran in search of the person who had burned the house, and Anil saw his mother howling and then mumbling something which he did not understand. And at that spur of the moment, this rejection, all the time his mother against him, and the societal pressure and all. And at that spur of moment, he went inside the burning house, and where the story ends that the neighbors woke up to an unusual smell of burnt human flesh. So this kind of suicide or annihilation of the self under the societal pressure is a sad yet harsh reality among the queers. And then we have got Panchanan Hazarika's a short story, a collection called Andar Sadan. It has several stories that portray the experiential realities of the queer people. He tries to expose the societal pressure, stigma, violence inflicted upon the queers, the politics of exclusion, loneliness, rejection that the queer people experience. I'll just tell one word or so, one sentence. So in Sironton, there's a story where he's, it's others, he has presented a character called Violina, who is a lesbian. She is not accepted by her peers. They are studying, they are students of gender studies. They are researching on third wave feminism, and yet they do not accept her. This girl, she is working on a paper, in the story it is shown that there is this girl called Bhargavi who is working on a paper on third wave feminism. And she says that I really feel scared, when I'm alone with her, because she's a lesbian. So this exposes the hypocrisy of the heterosexual society. Then again, there is this story called Jolos Jivan, the fluid life. It presents the fluidity of one's identity. The narrator speaks about his fluid existence, the multiple selves that we carry within us, the body's needs and desires, and his search for the truth of life. And he feels that he floats in these nuanced paradigms. And, so this kind of, does the space that he longs for, he says at the end, he says that he longs for a living river where his fluid life could be clasped, and thus the space that he longs for is a queer space that would provide him solace, as it might be a safe refuge to explore his sexuality and fluid identity. And I would like to end this talk with the title story from this collection, Andar Sadan. And this brings in a new direction to this whole discourse on the queer narratives. So it narrates the story of Chandrabala, the educated progressive mother, and her 3 children Udipta, Lupa, and Ujjivan. The mother is very much involved with her children, and she tries to help them solving any kind of problem. Took their side when they face any problem, either from their father or from the society at large. But when she comes to know about her son Ujjivan's sexuality, who declares that he is a gay, it was like a storm for her. And she had to go through many phases of tastes and tribulations. I would like to read some part of it. কিন্তু উজ্জীৱনে লৈ অনা ধুমুহাজাক আছিল বেলেগ সেই ধুমুহাৰ মুখামুখি হ'ব পৰাকৈ উত্তম সাজুটো নাছিলেই বৰঞ্চ চন্দ্ৰকলে নিজে এক দীঘলীয়া পৰীক্ষাৰ কেইবাটাও স্তৰত থিয় হৈছিলগে so when it was kind of a storm that he brought in উজ্জীৱনে যিদিনা নিজৰ sexuality সত্যতা স্বীকাৰ কৰিছিল I am only interested for man বুলি কৈছিল গাটো কপি আহিছিল she was shivering when her son said that I'm only interested for man she felt nauseatic she felt dizzy and then clasping on the chair she just sat down better sukihanat bori bohi disile it is very natural ma ujjibone aru kiba kibi kori asil he said it is very natural you don't have to behave like this nai ebur prakritik oprakritik dharona tai ujjibone bujhar proyojon nasil 88 sonote MA pass kora Sonapur jibonot prochur porahona korisil so she is a well read person she has read a great deal so her son does not need to tell her what is natural and what is not natural and so on so he was trying to make her understand his position ujjibon kebol purukhor proti he akorhito ei hoytok mani lobo parake proyojoniya সংবেদনশীলতাৰ আৰু সচেতনতা তাইৰ আছিল কিন্তু এই উজ্জীৱন গল্প উপন্যাস সিনেমাৰ চৰিত্ৰটো নহয় so that he is attracted towards man she has got that much of sensitivity to accept this truth but Ujjivan is not a character from a story or from a movie or from a novel Ujjivan tair putek tair tesmore gorha putek tair aru uttomor putek he is their son he is their son of flesh and blood যিমানে ন্যায় আৰু অধিকাৰৰ প্ৰসংগতে সত্যক স্বীকৃত নহওক স্বাভাৱিক আখ্যা নাপাওক কিয় নিজৰ সন্তান নিজৰ জীৱনত মানি লোৱা যায় নে এনে কঠোৰ সত্য so can we accept whatever we talk about how much we talk about justice and right and all those things and however this truth is acceptable however we are asked to believe in this but when it comes to our own children is it possible to accept this and living in that small town from a middle class family as a woman how far it is possible for her to accept this and then of course she has seen her son going through lots of pain when in the process of growing up when he comes back from school and with a very sad face and her daughter tells her that today Ujjivan was called Baideo by her friends because of his effeminate character so they call him Baido means sister so this kind of things and when it comes to people from queer community we attach only the sexual part to them this erotic space we always put them only in the erotic space we think only about their sexuality as if they are all the it is only there that is their only identity and that there is a question here and there is that particular aspect has been taken up here jonotar bahiro ekeloge hoar bahiro এজনে আনজনৰ শৰীৰ সাক্ষী চোৱাৰ বাহিৰেও মানুহৰ জীৱনত আন বহু কিবা কিবি ৰসায়ন পাখি থাকে সম্পৰ্ক থাকে চন্দ্ৰবালাৰ দৰে উচ্চ শিক্ষিত সংবেদনশীলা নাইয়ে অন্তত এই কথা বুজি পাব লাগে so apart from sexuality apart from sleeping together apart from enjoying each other's company sexually apart from all this there are lots of other chemistry that are there in our life there are lots of other relationships that are there and a woman like Chandrabala should understand this and I'll just come to the ending of it has got a positive ending a very nice ending where the mother accepts the son's sexuality his gay identity and then she says aru Ujjivan মই এটা বেলেগ যুগৰ মানুহ তুমি তো এটা বেলেগ যুগৰ মানুহ কিন্তু মই নুবুজিলে তোমাক কোনে বুজিব মই তোমাৰ মা উদ্দীপ্ত লুপা তোমাৰ সকলোৰে মা and she calls her son that I belong to a different generation and you are you belong to a different generation but who will understand if I don't understand you I'm your mother I'm the mother of all three of you মাকে নুবুজা নজনা কথা কিবা থাকে জানো is there anything that the mother doesn't know or doesn't understand নতুন সময় যিমান স্বাধীন প্ৰতিবাদী বিদ্ৰোহী মুক্ত নহওক সময়ৰ জন্মও জানো কাৰোবাৰ গৰ্ভৰ পৰাই নহয় doesn't this new time born from the womb of the old however you say it is a free, we have got freedom, we are always protesting against old norms, we are rebellious, we are liberated and so on, but all these things they are born from the womb of the old. Jorai Andharar Prize Anu Nahe Homoyak Nutun Buli Security Dia Udhamaki Judharahat, doesn't the hand holding the progressive light that recognize a new time born from the darkness of the womb? Rondrohin Udah Andhar Aru Barhio Habotahar Begor, Majat Chandrabala Namo Manozune, Azoni Grillat Hatui Kopia Takan. She keeps shivering, engulfed by the desolate darkness and the increasing speedy wind. The woman named Chandrabala shivers, holding on to the grill, maybe maybe emotionally, maybe with a yearning to get free from the past, or maybe with an attachment or in a close attachment to the forthcoming future. And here with this positive note, the story ends with a positive note. And, so this kind of social change, that change of mindset of people is needed. Though it is heartening to see there has been great awareness among people, yet we have a long way to go. Social change occurs slowly. And literature can definitely play a pivotal role in bringing awareness, arousing empathy and sensitivity among people. And these existential realities bring forth the nuances of the lives of the queer people. And we can envision that a day will come which will open up a new vista where people belonging to all sexualities will bask under the same sky. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I request our audience to feel free to ask questions.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening. This is Mukul.
Yes, Nizara ma'am, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's a very nice presentation you have given on a very bold topic. Very few research scholar has actually touched upon this kind of topic. I'm very happy that you have accepted our invitation and came to Nazari and delivered this kind of lecture. I'm very happy, and congratulations also. Maybe this is your first attempt of trying to understand us.
Narratives. Yes,
Yeah.
I told you,
Yeah.
with Anajari also. And
Yeah.
I would like to actually, because you've been already working in this area, so I would like your contribution or your suggestions, your observations on what I have spoken, because you have been a part of this movement. So since you are there, and even Rituparna said, Mayuri said they would be there, I don't know whether, because I'm using my phone, that's why I can't see the people who are there. So maybe you can, contribute towards what I have said, or you can add something to what I have said and all, because you've been part of this.
Extensive kind of, studies, and especially you have taken the narratives, especially poetic and fictional narrative, and you have confined in that particular two genres itself. And it's a very good presentation actually. And I'm very happy because a person not from our queer community has thought about it and understood a lot of issues, and that is really very endearing. And yes,
I've been a strong ally to this movement, even though I have not been going out but I've been studying these things for a long time, because I've been writing on other aspects of the queers. I've been working on movies and all, but we have got one movie coming up now, but I have not still worked on that. But then I've been following these narratives and literature. I would like to say, because social media, I want to bring in some, because there are, I was asked to complete it within 45 minutes, so I did it. One thing I want to tell that, this movement, it has got a great impetus because of this platform, social media. Now we are in a social media platform, and so many other media, other communities are there who are working, and we are all together in the social media. So that is a very great platform. And then there is, of course, I want to tell about these narratives when I talk about literature, because a student of literature, I read a great deal about of all the narratives that are there in, and then I'm a very avid reader in a group called Ardhaka, and you'd be really surprised to see, Mukul, how they have, how they write, the young writers who are coming up, and they write such nuanced writing, with this queer theme. So I was actually thinking of bringing in those, but then due to, I have got a very time constraint, and I cannot take lot many write-up. Therefore, I had to, keep myself constrained to these narratives. Maybe I'll be working on these areas more and more. And this is just the beginning, for us, this is just the beginning. And I feel as researcher, as academician, this is our duty actually to bring awareness among people. And today my students are also there in the group, I've seen my students, my friends are there. So these things are something which, we normally don't speak at home. When the situation is not there, we don't speak, because there is nothing to speak about. But when we get this kind of a platform, and that is why I ask my family, my friends, everybody to be here, so that they get to know something about, these issues, and they can, in a way, they can also be a part of this movement, and where we can, fight against all kinds of injustices that are inflicted upon the queer people.
Yes, ma'am, you have raised this issue. It is very pertinent issue that the people should talk about, not only in the academic forum, but in general atmosphere, right? A general space. One example, I mean, like a lot of problems we have been facing now, because people have started noticing the queer people's behavior. Earlier, they did not, although they do not want to talk about. Right.
Yes.
So there's a very burning kind of incident going on in Baroma College, like the college you and we work. Okay, Baroma College. Questioning youth was humiliated for her gender fluid behavior, isn't it? And I raised it in the media, in the Sentinel yesterday. It came. And the way the principal was giving the description of the whole incident, right? It shows that he does not have any sensitivity, any kind of understanding about the queer people, or questioning adults. And this is traumatic to the youths, right? So what to do as a academician working in a college, like where every day we get at least 600 or 700 students. What to do? How to sensitize them about the queer people?
Exactly. This is something, I think UGC had also given some direction to include some material where we can train, or that is one thing that they should do. Even the people who frame syllabus, there should be some aspects. Even now, when we are teaching the 5th semester, I think now we have got some texts with LGBTQ theme. So, but then we are students of literature, so those things are there. But on sexuality, on gender and sexuality, that is one area where we always remain quiet. We do not want to speak on these issues. I'll just tell you one small incident. Like my niece, she is doing her graduation from Delhi University, and she has a paper on gender and sexuality. And we were discussing something when we were having a dinner. We were having some discussion on queer experiences and so on. And then her sister, she's in class 7 then last year. She asked me, okay, I know you accept this queer thing, but one day if you come to know that Shruti, the elder one, she is a lesbian, how will you react? Just to see the kind of question she asked me. When it comes to your own, then how will you accept it? I said, I have no problem with that. So this kind of questioning, and we have to expose our children to that kind of, an environment where they can feel that we can include this inclusion, this inclusivity, because otherwise they always exclude people. We've seen in all these narratives, this issue of exclusion is very, very serious. So, and then as a teacher, I feel, how we, because within that constraint of our syllabi, we have to, complete all kinds of things. As a teacher, a college professor, you also know how we are so much, constricted with time and syllabus and other activities. So therefore, I feel it is, the university or the syllabus framing committees, they should do something about this gender and sexuality. There should be at least one unit. Yeah, one
Yeah,
unit where all the students will read that.
yeah,
They should
has to
get
be
away.
compulsory kind of.
Yeah, it should be
Compulsory,
compulsory. Like we are
compulsory
teaching
kind of.
students environment. Environment is compulsory for all.
Yeah,
So that way
yeah,
we can even have in one semester, we can have one paper on gender and sexuality,
yeah.
where students
I
will
hope,
learn.
ma'am, yeah, I hope you will carry forward this notion in
Yes, I
your
will.
seminar paper also, that we need gender and sexuality education compulsorily since school to university level. That has been, I have been working on. Yesterday also
Yes,
I
I
wrote
know.
about it, and it's very
Yes,
necessary. Not because that we have to know the characters from the fictional or poetic world, but from the real people who have been facing it, right? The way they
yes,
have
yes,
been being humiliated, or they have
yes,
been tried to suppressed or
yes.
repressed. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank you so
extensive
much. Thank
studies
you.
and becoming so empathic towards us and our problems.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your, and
Thank
I
you.
hope you encourage a lot of people from Assam. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I will, Charlie. Thank you.
Hello, Nizara. Very good evening.
Oh, good evening.
I have a question specific to the SME society and the Northeastern society as a whole. So is this over a decade of time, so let's for last 10 years, let's say, so is this changing the perspective about the LGBT movement? Because when we were in school or in high school, probably when we look about them and we talk about them, it was a kind of joke, is this perception amongst the youngsters or the society as a whole, is it changing over a period of time?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, there
specifically
has
when it
been.
comes to the SME society as a whole, I have been seeing that quite a lot of movements are happening in Guwahati and in Northeast and other parts of India. So
Exactly.
as compared to the other parts of India, so has it drastically changing over a period of time here in this part of
Not
India?
exactly drastically changed, but a gradual change is there. For the past 3-4 years, Mukul, we've got the Pride March also in Guwahati. And then earlier, as you said, they were, I wrote somewhere that they were the butt of joke. People used to ridicule them, but then over the years, there is some kind of an acceptance. And they have come earlier, they were always within that closeted space. They were in the closet. They won't come out, they won't declare their sexuality. But over time, people have started accepting them, and people have started expressing their sexuality. They were declaring their sexuality, and that is a positive move, because they have got that kind of a freedom where they can talk about their sexuality. So this kind of an environment has been created gradually. And we being, like we are citizens of this, and we are the future. We have to think about the future of our children, and it is not a kind of a problem for them. It is their identity. It is just their sexual orientation that is different, and which had brought all kinds of change, differences in their mindset, in the mindset of the people. And we always try to, subdue them with our heterosexual mentality. So we have to bring in some kind of, policies, plans, and those things have gradually come up, with the repealation of the Article 377. Lot many changes have taken place, but yet, we are yet to go a long distance. And this is just a beginning. And we have got a long way to go. Thanks, Neil, for your question.
Thank you.
So, ma'am, we have come to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving your valuable time and giving such an informative session. I hope we will connect soon in the future. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Jia. Thank you, Team Manager. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Oh, Kashmir, oh.